Gracefully and Frankly is grateful to Sierra Sil, the all-natural anti-inflammatory that guarantees to you that you'll feel a difference in your joint pain, like Lisa's Derek's ankles and feet, within 14 days of starting or your money back. And yes, there's a pet version. We've seen how it works for ourselves. Shouldn't you?
Find them at sierrasil.com. Sierra as in the mountains and Sil as in silicon.com, and get 10% off your purchase with the code GF.
Welcome to episode 71 of Gracefully and Frankly. I'm Erin Davis.
I'm Lisa Brandt. So, Erin, I can't wait to find out how your clearing out of the house is going. Oh, my goodness, I can only imagine.
Yeah, there's a really great story and a really awful story, so hopefully the great is what you'll take with you. Also, Lisa's trip to the Spagliatelli. She went on a day trip for a pastry. Does that not sound like perhaps the best and dullest adventure movie ever? I think it's good.
Yes, I may still have crumbs on my lap. I'm not sure. Romance scammers, they're either getting lazier or they're getting a little easier to tell sometimes. And we'll talk about pig butchering. That's actually a term that describes a type of scam that's going around out there.
Yeah. In fact, Lisa knows a person whose photo was used by a scammer.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you contact this guy and let him know his photo was being used?
He's no longer a public figure. I don't know him otherwise, so no, I didn't.
Okay.
No.
Well, we're spilling all the sweet tea today, and we'll also tell you how some recent episodes of Law & Order Toronto, I'm sorry, I'll call it Toronto, they can call it what they want, are really hitting home. It's a show you got to start PVRing or catching up on during the summer on City. And of course, never a scam and always rock-solid guarantees you'll love your product from envypillow.com.
They are such a great follow on Instagram, and there was a little tidbit on one of their posts in the last week about whether or not light gets into your room when you're sleeping and how it affects you, that you really need to be in darkness. And it's about this study that was done in Illinois. Those sleeping with light had elevated heart rates and more trouble getting their blood sugar back down, all sorts of things. And so Envy Pillow not only will cradle your head and give you a great night's sleep, but they also have these beautiful sleep masks. And they're also copper infused and pure silk, and that'll keep the light out of your face. And that's another important component of getting a good night's sleep.
Find out more at envypillow.com. And don't forget to use the code GF and get 10% off. Well, how did your return to the spa go? And if anybody missed episode 70, first off, go back and listen. And secondly, Lisa inadvertently pulled a fire alarm leaving the spa. Geez. And you posted a picture. I can see how that could happen.
No kidding, right? No, they were really cool about it. In fact, it was just like, no big deal. The alarm was off 5 minutes after you left. It's all good. They just acted like it was no big deal. I mean, for me, it was an absolute horror. And in the moment, it wasn't fun for them. But no, they were great about it. And then we just got on with business. So no big story for you there. Yeah, just wonderful people.
Good. Well, I know that you were kind of going in there with your tail between your legs, which kind of makes a massage a bit uncomfortable. But it all worked out. I'm glad to hear that, because it should be a relaxing experience. And to be able to go back to a place that you have found where you feel comfortable is really important. So good for you.
Yeah. For one thing, I'm unforgettable now. Whenever somebody mentions, boy, that fire alarm's in a stupid place, they'll say, yeah, a woman pulled it once, and it'll be about me. So
you're in the Hall of Fame for them.
I am. The Hall of Shame.
Yeah. I got my own 4 and 5 alarm fires going on here.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Lisa. I'm in such a spin these days, just trying to get things ready for photos and video because we're selling our house. It occurred to me that the reason this feels so unfamiliar is when we left Toronto, both our condo and our cottage sold without listing. They all kind of went word of mouth. So we haven't been through this in a long time, and it's a lot. And now there's this 3D video thing where if you go on a listing you're interested in, are you familiar with the dollhouse thing?
Oh, yeah. I'm a real estate freak. I'm always looking at comparables and everything. So, yeah. So explain it, though.
Okay, so you can have the video where you have the little circles on the shot and you press on that and it takes you down the hall, and you press on the next one and it takes you into a bedroom, stuff like that. But the dollhouse looks at your house or condo or cottage or whatever you may be selling from above. So everybody sees what's in your closets, what's in your storage room. I don't even know how they get these photos, Lisa. Like, is it a drone that has X-ray vision that flies over the house or something? I got a lot of questions for the photographer next week.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I can't wait to find out because I'm really not sure how it works either, but it's a pretty cool feature. I mean, people want to see everything, and it's kind of neat. We went through a house, and we're not looking.
Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, I'm not looking. Sure, sure.
Oh, this place was an open house, and I had to congratulate the realtor on whoever took his photos because it did not look anything like the pic. Well, it did look like it, but I don't know if they used just wide-angle lenses and then somehow compressed them so they didn't look wide-angle, but it was a lot smaller than it looks, so they can make it look great. Your house is gorgeous, so I don't think you've got anything to be concerned about there, unless you've got one of those closets where everything's packed. If you open the door, it all tumbles out on you, but you don't do that, no.
Oh, yeah, I do. One of them is called our travel closet.
Oh.
In there, I have the extra hairdryer, all the toiletries from all the hotels I've stayed in for the last 30 years. So the toiletries are all going to a community center for seniors, and we do deliveries for them, and on special occasions like Valentine's and that. In addition to their meals, they get a little bag of goodies, and it could be body lotion or bubble bath or whatever, and I got all those things. And so those are all going. All my already wrapped slippers from hotel rooms, because God forbid I should leave a pair of slippers behind that haven't been worn. Was I raised in the Depression and no one told me?
Well, you do save every zip bag, but I think that's smart, though. I don't know. You don't waste things, and I think that's good.
Well, I'm worried about what we're leaving for our grandkids, you know, in terms of landfill and all that kind of stuff. And you mentioned zip bags, as in Ziploc bags, but gift bags. Oh. And I posted about this on Facebook on the weekend, and there was such a response. So I journaled about it Monday and said, look, the person who holds on to these gift bags is always expecting a happy event. I'm always thinking, hey, there's going to be a party, and I'm going to have to give out 20 gifts. I mean, it's just this insanity that I have, this endless, sickening, disgusting optimism that any minute now, Lisa, there's going to be a party.
Yeah, but those gift bags can get expensive. And I have a bag of bags, and not only do I have a bag of bags, I have a bag of stuffing for shipping things, and I don't ship anything. I mean, I have shipped books in the past, but what do I need all this bubble wrap for? I have no idea. But if ever bubble wrap becomes currency, I'm your wealthiest friend, I promise you. So I don't think you're alone at all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I promise if you give me some of that precious bubble wrap when I'm really low on commodities, I won't just put it on a hardwood floor and tap dance on it, because that's what I like to do with bubble wrap.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody turns into a 4-year-old when there's bubble wrap around. I defy you to find somebody who can't play with it.
Yep, you're right. That's why mine's tucked away in a dark closet, or it would all be flat.
Some of the things that I've sold on Marketplace include some bunnykins and Peter Rabbit dishes and stuff that we no longer need, or we have sentimental connections. Some of these were from when I was a kid, but someone else can love them now. So I put them in a used gift bag, and they'll go, oh, that's nice. They came in the bag. But the whole Marketplace thing, Lisa, I'm telling you, I know I talked about this last week, and I'm trying to be stoic, but oh my God, it's driving me up the wall. It's just unbelievable what happened.
What are they doing now? Are you being ghosted still, or is it other stuff?
Well, I finally got rid of the beautiful chest of drawers on which I was ghosted the weekend before. So a woman had somebody come and pick it up on the weekend. It's gone. Yahoo. But I have a great story and an angry, infuriating story. So I'll start with the angry one.
Okay.
We have, that I bought in the, let's say, the 80s, a white iron bed, a headboard, a footboard with some white iron and brass. And at the time, it was, I think, the most expensive furniture I'd ever bought. Mm-hmm. And we want to sell it because it no longer fits in our new life and all of that. And so I put it online, and this guy, Florian, I'll say his name because he's never going to hear this. He writes to me and says, oh, this is really great. Okay. And I'm thinking, okay, we're going to sell this thing. Great. And then Rob goes down and finds out that the footboard doesn't fit this particular frame because we haven't had it on this frame for a couple of houses. So I write to Florian. He says, well, I can't put stuff together. I need something for dummies. And I said, not a problem. For $37, we have ordered a conversion kit to make this frame fit the footboard. It'll be here tomorrow, so do come and get it Sunday. Does that sound good? Great. So Sunday morning, Rob gets up early, puts the conversion kit, which includes drilling into metal, onto the frame. Then I get a message from Florian. This isn't going to work for me. My neighbor is giving me a bed for free, and I can't pass it up. Well, I wrote back, oh, no, I'm beyond disappointed, and that's all I said, because you don't want to make a stranger angry. So that was our, oh, crap moment of the weekend. But on the other side of that, got a message on Sunday from someone who saw an antique wall phone that we have that we took out of a cottage before we renovated it, probably 20 years ago. We've been hauling this thing around. It still works. And he just messaged and said, hey, is that phone still available? Yeah, it is. And got $300 out of that because an antique dealer told us, price it at $350. So we didn't get anything, moved it to $300, and it's gone.
Nice.
So that's something I didn't expect to sell.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing.
Well, good. Ever since it's like noticing a Kia on the road or a different model car, a Tesla or something. As soon as you see one, you see millions. And all of these stories have been popping up on Facebook, buy and sell groups and everything about scammers and people who ghost you. And it's just a jungle out there, more than I even understood that it was.
Yeah, the scammers are pretty transparent. My sister was selling a big piano, and right away there's somebody saying, I want this, but I can't come and get it. My friend's going to come and get it for me.
Yeah.
And I haven't moved here yet, and I'll transfer you the money. Okay, no. And I got one about something else. He said, I'm moving my stuffs, S on the stuff, and I'm going to have someone come and pick it up. And I went, that won't work for me, Bill.
Good.
And so right away, he deleted the conversation. But the scammers out there was a piece, I don't know if you saw it on CBC, I think it was Monday morning.
Yes.
And they showed a photo and they said, if this is your online romance, you're being scammed.
Yeah.
And right away, my lights went on and I sent it to someone in my life who has been pulled in by these scams. She hasn't given any money that we're aware of, but I'm always worried for her. And this is such a prickly issue, and it sounds like you know about it.
I told a story in an earlier episode about some friends who lost all their money because the wife was taken in by one of these scammers, and then John Oliver had a really good piece on what they call pig butchering. The idea is the scammer fattens up the pig by leading them along and believing them they're in a friendship or a relationship, and then when the time is right, they butcher them by getting the money, the big payout. And that's what had happened. And that's the thing that I think the rest of us don't get when we're on the outside looking in, is that the people who get scammed think they're in a relationship. They think they're in a friendship or a relationship. So they apply those values to the communication. The rest of us looking on the outside, it's like, well, it's obviously, they've never met this person, blah, blah, blah. But people have entire relationships, they think, with people just online. So it's scary, scary stuff, though, if you're at all susceptible to it. It happens to smart people and rich people and, it's not just one kind of person, not just old people, it's young people, and it's awful.
It is. And in fact, a couple of weeks ago, there was a Law and Order Toronto, which this week has TO Mayor Olivia Chow in a walk-on role that was about this. And I messaged you and I said, you got to watch this because it was exactly that thing. The person who was Sexy Sammy or whatever the character's name was, had all these women and all these burner phones and all these quote-unquote relationships going on. And the woman who was at the center of this story was being scammed and sending money for this. Oh, his plant was closing down, but I sent him money. He's going to be okay. And he's waiting for me in Tunisia or something, and I'm going to go and join him there. And her sister was just incredulous about all of this. You know, how can you not see this? Now, here's where we run into a problem, Lisa, when it's a loved one. Because when you say, you know this isn't legit, all of a sudden you're saying to them, you are not lovable. You are not deserving of this relationship. What do you mean someone finds you attractive and wants to be with you and sends you these beautiful letters that are, to an outsider, so clearly written by AI that has taken from 1800s Victorian romance? Like this one that she sent me said, I want you to think of me when you're riding the subway in the morning and the last thing at night when you put your head down. Yeah, I know there weren't subways in the 1800s, although maybe there were in New York. Anyway, when you put your head on your pillow at night, know that I am thinking of you and sending so much love. And it's all going on like this. And we're going, well, have you spoken to this person? And she said, well, no. But he sent me photos. He's up in northern U.S. And I'm thinking, whose photos are these? Are they like the Austrian meteorologist that the CBC cited? Who is this person? And why can't you see what we see?
Right. And the woman in the Law and Order show even bought her own engagement ring. I mean,
oh my gosh. Yes.
It went so far, and she was just so shocked. And even when the proof was shown to her, she still didn't believe it. But I got contacted by someone on Twitter, and he followed me, and I noticed that the picture looked familiar. The picture is the former president of a college in London, Ontario, who I met several times, right? Oh. So I followed him back just to see what would happen. And he's like, you can tell he doesn't even understand the vernacular. He says, well, hi, how you doing? I'm over here in the U.S. of Alabama. And, you know...
Even Alabamians don't talk like that.
And so I wrote back and I said, you're using a picture of a man I know, Peter Devlin. And I said, I'm reporting you, and then blocked him. But it's crazy, just insanity. But I'm not looking for anybody, right? I'm not lonely. I'm not looking for friends. You know, I don't know if that has to be part of the issue. I don't know.
I don't know either. Loneliness can make you so susceptible. Plus, if you're like me, I'm always willing to give the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Right? We're not naturally cynical.
Right. And we assume it's a human being at the other end, and we don't want to hurt their feelings.
Right.
But one of the things I learned on the John Oliver piece is that the person at the other end is likely either being human trafficked or their family is under threat.
Yes.
Or they've gotten picked up because they're in such debt that they have to pay this debt back that they'll never be able to pay back. So even when I have posted on Facebook a couple times when I sort of took shots at some of these people posting, you know, how beautiful I am and they want to be in my presence and all that. Well, I'm wasting my time by writing back to them because they're just puppets. It's the people behind them who have the gun on them or their organized crime or whatever. Yeah. The people who are actually doing the crimes. CBC did an interview with one of these guys in like Nigeria or something, and he said he feels terrible, but it's either that or die, so he's going to keep doing it, and he sends the money to his family. It's such a mess. We can't even imagine of a life like that.
No, they're enslaved, and it's organized crime, and it goes so much further than you possibly know.
Yeah.
And there are those who say, well, it doesn't hurt that I'm getting letters from somebody who thinks that I'm beautiful and says all these things. Well, eventually it will. And no matter what, if they ask you for anything, do not give it. I mean, we think we're talking to people here who are intelligent because obviously they're listening to Gracefully and Frankly. But there's a very good chance someone in your life is considering this or is being scammed or is on the hook in some way. So don't be afraid to talk about it. And it is hard to talk about because, again, it sounds like, oh, don't be stupid. No one could love you. But that's not it at all.
No. And everybody is a potential target.
Hey, speaking of Law and Order Toronto, I was watching the other night, and we're catching up on the PVR because did you know when you move, you lose everything on your PVR? Lisa, there's 240 Dateline episodes, but anyway. Another Law and Order Toronto was based on, I won't say the broadcaster's name, but everybody remembers his court case and the lawyer Marie Heinen and all of those things. So it's really topical, but a few weeks before was an episode on price gouging and a bakery and a major chain. Now, none of these things mention any names like in previous ones like Rob Ford or any of Galen West, and none of those things. We are not to make that connection or infer that this is who they're about. But the price gouging on the bread. And, of course, we've been talking about that in grocery stores. And remember how they said the price hikes were because of supply issues? Well, guess what? It wasn't that, because here we are still paying through the nose. And now you tell us that we're not even paying for what we think we're paying for.
Apparently not. This was a story about, and this is in Canada, talking about how when you pay extra for free range or natural when it comes to meat, it's essentially meaningless. As we know, if you're going to get free-range chicken, it's going to cost you more than your condo living chicken or whatever the heck it is. But
yeah.
This is the funny thing. They talked to some chicken farmers and pig farmers and different farmers. Chickens don't even like to be free-range.
What?
They like to be close together. I mean, if you've got your backyard egg-laying chickens, okay, they'll walk around and that kind of thing. But a big mess of chickens, that's not how they prefer to live. So anyway, Canada apparently doesn't have government-regulated standards for meat on the national level because animal welfare on farms is provincial.
Oh.
You can look at natural free-range chicken in Ontario, and it might mean something completely different than it does in Manitoba, than it does in BC. And there are different opinions on what the animal wants or needs, you know, because chickens, as I mentioned, aren't roamers. You know, we imagine a free-range chicken out there, I don't know, jogging.
Playing on a tire swing. Yeah. That kind of thing.
Going out behind the coop and sneaking a cigarette like no, maybe not that, but...
Yeah, of course. But to be clear, when you're talking about them wanting to be together, we do not mean the overcrowding and cruel conditions that happen in. So
No, not at all.
If you can be meat-free, be meat-free. You know, meat is cruelty, all that kind of thing that I know some people are thinking, and a lot of people are saying, we're not here to preach what you eat.
No.
We're not also saying, oh, they love to be crowded together so they can't even walk.
No, of course not. No, but they like to be with their buddies. And so, no, that's just cruel.
Right.
The point of the matter is that you might be paying for something that you're not actually getting or that isn't any better. So pasture-raised cattle is something that a lot of farmers don't want to do because the cows roam, they use more calories, they need more feed, they get thinner. I mean, there's just all sorts of things that play into these labels on food that we don't know that much about. You know, you reminded me of the one time I went chicken catching as a teenager. And that's, of course, back before any regulations or anybody was even probably inspecting these places. And that's what it was like for the chickens. There would be a whole bunch of them in a cage. It was so horrible. And I was so affected by it that I only did it once and I never went back. But things have gotten a lot better since then. It's just that there isn't a universal agreement on what these things mean. So if you're going to pay more, for me, I want to know what it is that I'm getting. You know?
Yeah.
Did my chicken go to college, like it says on the label? Can my chicken play an instrument?
Can it peck out for release on the piano?
That's
right. Yeah,
right.
I get what you're saying.
Yes.
So it's just more scamming, if you will. Boy, it's kind of becoming a theme here today. Didn't mean it to, but when you're talking about online sales, online romances, BS in the produce department, Lisa, we have to be our own advocates all the time. And isn't it exhausting?
It is exhausting, and it's no wonder people are fed up. Do you remember back when you were a kid, Erin? I barely do, but we're the same age.
I wasn't catching chickens, but yeah, go on. Jeez.
Well, I grew up in the country, and The money was really good, I'll tell you that, but I couldn't do it again ethically.
I don't know what it is. Should I ask you what catching chickens is, or do you not even want to discuss it? I don't know what it is.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, what's catching chickens?
Catching chickens is grabbing the chicken and getting it ready to be shipped. So back then, the chickens were all in cages, and so you basically took them out of the cage and put them into a transport cage.
Okay.
You could either get them out of the cage, or sometimes they would just open like 100 cages, and there'd be a squillion chickens, and you just start grabbing all the ones you could, and of course they're running away from you. Then they're loaded into trucks and taken to the processing center.
The abattoir, as they call it. Isn't that a nice name for it? The abattoir.
It is.
Sounds like that place where you pulled the fire alarm.
I went to one of those too because my uncle was a butcher, so, you know.
Oh, God. You know, I have said this, I've thought it a million times. If I had to prepare my own food, I would be a vegan in a heartbeat. Wouldn't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
I would probably just pull leaves off trees and like a deer and eat that.
Can we talk about something a little more pleasant?
Yeah.
You made a big drive to get a lobster tail?
I did.
What was that about? Did you catch it yourself? Did you pull it out of the water? Not really a lobster. Okay, tell your story. I love this. It's a real palate cleanser.
You know, I've been working really hard to lose some weight, and I got to 20 pounds. Yay!
I congratulate you.
Thanks. So, you know, I wanted to celebrate by eating something. And
wait, I totally get it. I'm celebrating 5 years of sobriety in June with a bottle of champagne. How's that sound?
No.
Okay.
But it was going to be a cheat day. It was just going to be a cheat day. So in Italy, I fell in love with this pastry. Pastries have never been my thing, but it's called sfogliatelli. And when I was in Italy, a woman that I used to work with said, oh, they make them here in Point Edward, which is Sarnia, and they're called lobster tails. So that's why I said to Derek, we haven't been on a road trip forever. We're going to go. We'll do our grocery shopping there. We're just going to go. And so that's what we did. And it was the closest to what I had in Italy I could imagine. It was so good. That was it. I ate it, and that was my cheat.
Was it worth it? That's always my question. Was it worth it?
Oh, absolutely worth it. In fact, like about half an hour later, I was gazing out the window and Derek said, you're still thinking about it, aren't you? And I said, yes.
Oh, my goodness. And how far away was it from your home?
About an hour, 15, 20, I think.
Aren't you glad it's not around the corner?
Totally. And I'm so glad that it took some effort and time because it's not something I will do all the time. Not many bakeries make this. Thank goodness.
Well, if you want to go back to Italy, the welcome sign in places like Venice is not exactly flashing these days, is it?
They're trying to cut down on the number of tourists. So Venice gets about 20 million just in the summer. And having been there last year, I can tell you it can be wall to wall. They put in about a $5 sort of, you may not pass until you pay this fee to get into Venice, unless you can prove you're staying in a Venice hotel. Well, the hotels in Venice itself are very expensive.
Yes.
So when they started doing it, even though they talked about it for ages, people were pretty upset about it. They didn't want to have to pay it because a lot of them are day trippers from elsewhere in Europe as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not too happy about that. But they're not the only ones. There's a bus route in Barcelona that they're now hiding from maps so that tourists hopefully won't go to this one park.
Oh, I was thinking Las Ramblas because, of course, that's the most famous one with all the shops and all of that in Barcelona.
No, this is gardens with architectural elements by a famous architect and all this stuff. It's very lavish and very popular with tourists. It gets about 9 million people a year. So they hid the bus route on Google Maps and hope that people won't be able to get to it.
Wow.
So we'll see how that works. And now at the Louvre in Paris, they're talking about giving the Mona Lisa its own room because people are complaining they just get a split second to look at it and then have to shove along because there so many people go to the Louvre. So that's going to mean construction and delays, and probably the painting will be put away for a while. And oh my goodness, all to cut down on people.
Wow. Yeah, what was it? Yogi Berra said nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. It's so true.
Never more true than in Rome last year. I certainly felt that. I felt like I was on a cattle truck, you know. We'd be walking along and I'd turn to Derek and go,
Well, happy May. What does this month hold for you? It's just a ton of change for us. May it bring you good things, Miss Lisa?
I certainly hope so. I know I'm going to be painting our outdoor furniture. That's a whole topic for another day. So the cushions, though, not the furniture itself.
What? How do you paint cushions? You'll tell us.
It's a whole thing, and it's a big job. So I'm just sort of looking at it right now every day going, Derek says, you going to start? Yeah, one day.
Yeah.
One of these days I'll start.
Yeah, that's how I feel about our basement. It's driving me up the wall. It's like one of those horror movies where you know that there's something in the basement, but you're going to have to go down there. So I'm going to make sure I have lingerie and a flashlight that doesn't work, just like in the movies. Maybe that way I'll get it done. But I won't be fetching about moving and stuff all the way through the rest of these podcast episodes. I promise you that. But sometimes when you're with a friend.
That's okay.
And friends who listen.
You talk about clearing things out, and all I want to do is get in there and roll up my sleeves.
Oh, bless you. Actually, our friend Mike Cooper from my radio days in Toronto, he is flying out in June. He's going to come for a whole week and help us get our condo ready for us to move in. Like, it's ready, don't get me wrong, but there are things like backsplash I want replaced, and I've got all kinds of little ideas, and now I have a worker and another friend from Vancouver who's going to come and help too, so it's going to be a party. That's what we got to do. You got to polish crap, and that's what we do. I mean, not on this show, it's all good.
Oh my goodness.
There's the promo, right?
As Derek would say, what do you do when you find yourself in a hole? You stop digging.
That's right. Or you keep digging because you know there's something at the bottom. There's going to be a diamond there, Lisa. You know us.
That's right.
Oh, God.
Yes, if you're Erin Davis.
Yeah. And you're Lisa Brandt. And thank you for joining us this week. Thanks to Envy Pillow and to Sierra Sill.
Bye for now.